Come on in, let me brew you up something. Video game review time, and I'm going to talk about potion craft. There's a little bit of an odd one to talk about because there's kind of not that much to it, except that the way that it goes about its fairly simple premise and presentation is just, at least to my mind, really smart. Potion craft is a visually very simple 2D game. Effectively, it only has like 5 screens on it that you interact with, and where you basically, it's a crafting system turned into its own game. You take various components, mushrooms, leaves, sometimes rocks and stones, you grind them up, and you put them in a cauldron, and you make potions with them. And on its face, that's like, okay, yeah, that's just a basic freaking crafting system. Like, why is this its own game? Well, because there's some little tweaks that make it, honestly, just a touch too elaborate to have been the crafting system in a larger game. If this was a smaller side mechanic, if this was an add-on, effectively a minigame, it's just a little too elaborate for that. And I found it really interesting the way that they took the basic, crafting premise, this plus this gives you this, and made something more intricate and I think kind of elegant with it. So, trying to think of how I want to explain this. The brewing of potions is not quite as straightforward as this plus this gives you this. It's a bit more complicated than that. So what you have is, one of the screens that you have is a recipe map, I guess is what I'll call it, where you kind of have a position on the map and there's ingredients for potions on various points on the map. And you need to get your little icon moved into those positions to be able to make that potion. Now, once you've made it once, you can save that recipe so you don't have to do the navigation again. And at that point, it just costs you, whatever the resources were used to get them. And that brings us to the resources, because the various components that you have, the mushrooms, the leaves, the flowers, etc., they are used to move your icon in a certain direction and in a certain pattern. None of these are straight lines. And if they are straight lines, it's just briefly before doing something else, before doing a loop, or it does this, or it's kind of circling around, or it's actually kind of comes almost back where it started, but it does this long, elaborate thing. And what this means is you have to figure out what ingredients will get your icon to the position on the map, because if this ingredient gets me over here and this other one will get me up here, cool. But then if I have one that'll get me more in the diagonal, maybe I can do it with just that. And some of these components are rarer than others. Some of them are harder to get than others. Some of them are more expensive than others. And so you are encouraged not only to find the ingredients and the recipes, because, there's these markers on the map for the various potions, and until you've brewed it once, you don't know what it is. But even after you have found it, you still have incentive to maybe figure out better components to put in that will move your icon to the same final position, maybe with fewer ingredients, or maybe using more common ingredients rather than some of your rarer stuff. And then it adds in quality, because if you can get it exactly within the icon, it's like, it's highest quality, it's 3 tier. If it's pretty close, it's 2 tier. And if it's just barely touching the icon, that's a single tier. It'll work, but it's a weak version of that potion. And just something about being able to look at a map and going, okay, this thing that I need, I haven't explored up there yet. And like, there's also stuff on the map that like will damage the potion. The potion kind of has hit points. And so like, if you go too far off course, it's going to run into something that's just going to wreck the potion and wreck the recipe altogether. So you're not able to just, I'll just keep throwing stuff in this cauldron until it gets me there. Well, no, because you're going to go off course. You're going to end up ruining the potion. So you can't just haphazard. You have to figure it out. And I found like just a lot of surprising nuance in this. Like I found even after I found a recipe that like seemed like a good recipe, I got the strong version of this potion. I found that later on down the line, I needed to come up with an alternate recipe because I had not realized that one of the components that I had that I felt like I'd had a decent amount at the time, I was going to go for a long dry spell of not getting any more. And suddenly I'm running out of it. Or I realized that there is a indeed very common item, but I used it in so many recipes that I'm burning through it. So it actually benefits me to have an alternate recipe for this potion that uses some of the rarer ingredients because the super common ones are being used in everything right now and I'm running out. So I really found the nuance and the ability to try again and see if you can get there with fewer components, with different components. Just really interesting. And there is additional incentive to do that as well because you're not making these potions for the heck of it. You have customers and clients saying, I want a potion that'll do this. And so early on, it's very straightforward. I have an upset stomach, give me a healing potion. Wizard shows up, I need my mana recharge, give him a mana potion. Somebody shows up like, I need to be more dexterous when hunting, you have a dexterity potion. Super straightforward. Later on, though, they start getting more specific. Later on, they're going to say things like, okay, I want this potion, but I don't want it with this ingredient. Or I only want it if it has this ingredient. Or I only want it if you can make it with 2 ingredients or less. And your existing saved recipes may or may not match that. So now you have to find a different way to get to that point, to get your icon moved to that point on the map while satisfying their additional requests and requirements. Now, if something seems like it's not worth it, you actually can just turn them down and be like, nope, can't do it. Now you'll lose reputation and other stuff for doing so. But like, I do like that that's an option because there have been times where I've been like, okay, wait a minute. You want me to find a way to get to that thing over there using only a single ingredient? No, that's going to be a nightmare. I could probably figure it out, but I don't feel like it. I'll take the hit and I'll satisfy the next few customers and that'll balance out and I'll be fine. And I like that that was an option. And there are additional things such as creating specific stones and salts using finished potions, and it requires specific odd potions that you wouldn't normally make because normally most of your clients are asking for a potion that does a single thing, but to make, say, sun salt or some of the more unique ingredients, you need to make a potion that would never be requested by a client. So you need to make something that's like a weak potion that does these 3 things that are completely separate from each other on the map. Oh, that's another thing. You can make a potion with multiple effects. If you move it to one position and, activate that, but then move it to another spot on the map with a potion effect on it, you can make something with multiple effects, which is another request that you'll get. It's all ultimately very low-key, very laid back. It has that cozy game feeling because there isn't really a ton of pressure on you. And if you just feel like moving your icon around the map and finding the recipes and making your own time with it, you can. If you really want to dig in and like, I want to get everything. I want to make everything. I'm still working my way up to making the Philosopher's Stone, which I do want to do. You can do that, but there's never a heavy sense of pressure. It's all very relaxed, which is, I think, very appropriate for a game like this. And as I said, I went into way more description of the mechanics than I usually do. And part of the reason I did that is because there isn't much more to this. There isn't much of a narrative to bring up. Like there's some of your returning customers, if you're paying attention, it kind of builds a narrative, but like, it's not that deep and it's not that interesting, or at least I didn't find it to be, but that wasn't why I was there. I was there to just mix some stuff up and see what I get. And I enjoyed that to the tune of over 40 hours of it. So they made an overly elaborate side mechanic, something too elaborate to be the potion crafting system in, I don't know, The Witcher or something. But they crafted that in a way just smart enough and just incentivized to experiment enough and just cozy enough that I played for quite a bit longer than I thought I would have. I had a good time with this. If you want something laid back, like nice, pleasant kind of Ren Fair kind of music, I had a good time with this. I enjoyed it quite a bit, actually. It's not amazing, it's not incredible, it's not life-changing, but it's cozy, it's relaxing, it's a little zen. And there are some of the, I guess, more quote-unquote challenging aspects in terms of some of the ingredients you have to get for some of the higher-end stuff that I'm not always in the mood for. So maybe I'll do a day in it, but I won't touch any of the stuff I need to make for the next stone I need to eventually working up to the Philosopher's Stone. Or maybe I will. Maybe I'll make one or two of those things. But other times I'm like, I don't want to mess with that right now. I'll just grab these ingredients out of the garden, make some stuff, and still feel nice and feel relaxed. Potion Craft! Have you played it? What did you think about it? Whatever your thoughts are, drop something down in the comments. Let's talk about it. Patreon pays the bills, enables me to do this as my living. I did play this, I think, once, maybe twice on my Twitch stream. I played it mostly at home. Link to my Twitch channel is down in the description. I stream Wednesdays and Fridays, usually. There's some stuff coming up this month that is going to have me not streaming, but that's for another time. But for right now, thanks for tuning in. Don't worry about all that stuff. I appreciate it. Like, share, subscribe, all that. But, take a relaxed attitude around here. And this is a good game for that. So you can just come on back next time you need a break. Shout out to the patrons who helped make this possible. In particular, I want to thank Robin Moore, Zubin Lutfula, Goddess Elida, Tarak, the thing that goes joint in the anime, Ruth, Oliver B., Solitary Pictures, Ulrich Bogdan, Melinda Walters, Jen, Auntie Kate 808, Becky Sparks, Fernabilax the Poodle, Robin Powell, T. Love, Tracy Scrappett, Angry Casperl, Dave Hall, and Rosalind Bennett. There's being able to hear me try and pronounce your name, plus a whole bunch of other rewards in the Patreon. You can check out the tiers, but if you're already on the list, thank you so much.